Okay, the last section of the 4 paragraphs of the Maggid before then we go start talking about the mnemonics and the 10 plagues and stuff like that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a little bit nuts because if you're really kind of reading the story, you'll have to go nuts. But it says that Hashem took us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm, with great awe, with signs and with wonders. What does it mean? Hashem took us out of Egypt. It says Hashem, not an angel, not a seraph, which is another kind of a heavenly being, not through a messenger, but the Holy One, blessed be He in His glory Himself, as it says, I will pass through the land of Egypt that night. I will slay all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from man to beast, and I, upon all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I, Hashem. What in the world does that mean? So it explains that basically like this. We know there's I'll just start with the basic concept. Moses, when he would talk to God during this whole thing that was going on with Pharaoh, he'd have to leave Egypt because Egypt had the halachic, the legal status of a bathroom because it was full of idols. So it's not like you could talk to God. It wasn't fitting to talk to God where there's idols all over the place. But what do you see at the very end? You see God Himself go into, so to speak, that bathroom and just wreak absolute havoc over there. So they give a beautiful example. It says that a king would never be found in a house of ill repute except for one reason. And that, again, these are kings in the old days. We're not talking about current politicians. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Anyway, the king would never go into a house of ill repute because it was below the dignity of the king. So the only time a king would go into a house of ill repute was if his kid was in there and he needed help. So we see that God, in all of His glory, God, the big God, comes down into a place and He says, I myself will get involved now. He's just going to just come into the picture, and he's going to personally administer the justice that has to be taken, so that He Himself can take us out, so that we can be slaves to Him, so that He can take us as a people. Right? It's like a husband that's madly in love with his wife would never let some other guy save her. That's my wife. I will save my wife. Thank you very much, and you'll have to deal with me. So that was the idea of God coming in and nobody else. I will pass through the land of Egypt on that night. That's what it says over here. I am no angel. I will slay all the firstborn. I am no seraph. And upon all. So the message that we're trying to burn into our head is that God Himself is personally invested in our success. And He is personally crying in our destruction and our sadness. And He wants the relationship with us. Like a husband, like a father, or a wife and a mother, whatever your equivalent would be, ladies. With a mighty hand, it says this, the pestilence, as it says, that behold, the hand of Hashem will strike all your. God was extremely thorough when He came to town finally, and after all of this time, and He was ready to lay out the Egyptians. He was very thorough. He didn't leave a single thing uncovered. He took care of everything. Right? An outstretched arm. This refers to the sword, as it says, his drawn sword in his hand, outstretched over Jerusalem. It's a funny thing. Jewish people have, for the last 2,000 years, been wandering across the world in a very precarious situation. And even in the land of Israel, which thank God we've had for 60 some years, right? We have not dwelled securely there. Right? You go read the books about what was going on before the 6-Day War or before the 73 War. The Jews, even when we have the land of Israel and we have, thank God the IDF is such a strong army, right? And protects us. Jewish people live in a lot of fear. We live in a lot of fear. And we're like, oh man, it would be so nice if we had all the military might and prowess. We just didn't have to worry. And sometimes we wish we were like everybody else that just didn't have to, I hate to say it, Sweden doesn't usually worry about their adversaries. Canada, although maybe that's changing. But Jewish people were always like kind of freaking out. And the reality is, though, that when we see that God is on our side, you have nothing to worry about. This is the awe, as it says, the revelation of the Shekhinah, as it says, God ever. Again, you will never find in all of history, God Himself pulls a nation out of another nation to make the nation His. That never happened in all of history. No one even claimed such a thing would happen. And the Jewish people all saw it. And we just sat down like we're doing tonight. We're telling our kids about it. It should make such a huge impact, right? With signs, there's miracles performed by the staff. And because God told Moses, you should take the staff, right? With wonders, this is the blood. And He says that I will show wonders in the heavens and the earth, etc. So the message that we're trying to now realize is that when God enters the picture to help us, to take us out of Egypt, He did it in Mitzrayim. It changed the entire world. We've never stopped talking about it since. He's going to come again, and He's going to help us again out of all of our problems. When God enters the picture, all of our conventional ways of dealing with our lives are over, in that He's just going to take care of it. There's not going to be anything he forgets. So a lot of times we think, we suffered so much in X, Y, and Z, and how's everything going to work out? You don't worry. He wants to be involved. He was involved. He'll be involved again. And we have to just realize that it's such an amazing thing to have the King of the universe, God himself, be involved in our daily lives, to come in and to personally come and to vouch for us and to take us out of Mitzrayim. Okay, I'm going to keep going a little bit more because, we'll stop. We'll do a little bit.